And when I think it's really important for you to write something down, I'm going to say, write this down. That's how easy it is to follow me. And sometimes I get really into it, and if I get really, really into it and I say, let me repeat myself, that's number one clue, you better write it down. And it's not so much because I'm going to test you on it, but because there's a message in it for you. And that message may not be for right now, but it will be for you. Okay? All right, so don't try to capture everything. Capture what speaks to you. If I think you need to write it down, I'll say write it down. Okay, so write this down. The history of yoga. All right, the history of yoga, as we said, the history of yoga. Remember, what did I say yoga was? Does anybody remember what I said yoga was? There's no wrong answers. Anybody?
Conduit?
Almost. No?
Can you repeat the question?
What did I say yoga was?
The congruence of mind, body, spirit.
Yes! It's a transformational journey to find the congruence of the mind, the body, and the spirit. Shall I repeat that?
Yeah.
It's a transformational journey to find the congruence of the mind, the body, and the spirit. Keyword being transformational journey, or keywords. Transformational journey. You are on a path of pretty much personal transformation from the moment you walked into the room. Okay? You will not be the same person at the end of the semester, I promise you. Hopefully, I will have enabled you to find the best version of yourself you can possibly be. Okay? But in order for you to do that, you must drop your ego at that door before you enter that door. Drop it like a pair of pants. Because if you come in with ego, you won't get a thing. You won't get a thing. It'll go just like a bad joke. It'll pass you up. Okay? Now, how do you know when you're an ego? Anybody want to take a guess?
You criticize.
Who said that? Good. You criticize. How do you know when you criticize?
It's negative.
Okay, it's negative. But how do you know, you personally, do you know when you are in ego? Nope. Do you know when you're in ego?
When I think too much of myself, maybe?
Okay. Do you know when you're in ego?
Most of the time. All
Most of the time? All the time? Okay. Here's the word, write this down. Aggressively present. You must be aggressively present in order to know whether or not you're in ego. Present meaning that you know everything you're feeling, everything you're thinking, and how that thought is going down into your chakras, and what you're attracting because of it. Now, that, my friends, is key. So when we go back to the history of yoga, yoga was created about 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. Who do you think it was created for? Any guess? Wild guess.
People who are always tense, aggressive, people,
Close.
warriors.
All right, let me tell you. It's okay. It was created for 12-year-old boys of the rich and the well-to-do and the politically set. Because didn't I tell you, I think I told you, I hope I told you on Thursday, that yoga is the path to success? Right? It's that transformational journey. That when you become all of you the way that you're supposed to be, what are you going to attract? Good energy, which is success, opportunity, right? So it was created for the 12-year-old boys. Why do you think 12-year-old? And why only boys?
I'm not sure.
Think like a boy. Why do you think?
Because they were more power back then.
Yes, Hannah. Because supposedly the only ones, we lived in a patriarchal society, and the only ones that knew anything and the only ones that were entrusted to carry out the wealth, and if something was going to be successful, it was going to be a man. Women were not allowed to do yoga at all because of the, I'm just going to give you two of the steps. We're going to live out the 2 steps, the first 2 steps, and you're going to realize why. Because once you realize this way of life, called the yogic path, you're going to realize that, whoa, things happen, really good stuff happens, okay? Instead of shit happens, good stuff happens, right? All right, so they knew back then that if you would follow all these steps and continue to live this way of life, the only path that it would lead you to would be to success, riches and wealth. Right? Now, riches and wealth isn't success for everybody, but it is for a majority of people. Right? But the word success can be a lot of things to a lot of people. Okay? So realize that whatever that path is, it is success. If success to you is finding the right person that you're going to marry, that's going to love you, that's going to honor you, that's going to give you a respect, that's going to be your life partner, that's success for some people. Right? So, this was created for the rich and the well-to-do. At the turn of the century, they were losing momentum. Now, let me ask you a question. This is what I mean. Take a look around the room. If it had been up to men, would there still be yoga today? No. It became a dying art, and the only way to make it sustainable and the only way to bring it was to go ahead, twist my arm, and let a girl do it. So then at the turn of the century is when women were allowed to do it, but then again, it was still restricted. Not any woman. Not any woman. It was now the daughters of the rich and the well-to-do. Right? So the path of yoga, when followed, becomes a way of life that sets you up for success, whatever that means to you. Right? And that's the way yoga began. It didn't become didn't at all, there was no mat involved, and certainly no music. God forbid that they put music. You go to India and there's no music. Right? So we gotta think about that. So everything that you're getting from me is still yoga. I'm speaking to you. This is yoga. You're learning yoga. It is a way of life. Make sense? How many of you guys have seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love? Yeah, you saw it with Julia Roberts? Really, you've got to see that movie. It's a book. It's based on a book by Elizabeth Gilbert, okay? But it really shows, and there are pieces of it in India, and it shows. She supposedly goes to yoga, and when she goes to yoga, all they do is have her sit on the floor, chant, and meditate to master the mind. And one of the lines in the movie is like, well, this is yoga? Yeah. We have bastardized it to the egoic degree here in the Western world, because now you better do that pose the bestest and the most whitest and so that we can put you on the cover of Yoga Journal. And that's not what yoga is. We have bastardized it in this world, Western world. Okay? So, that is, my friends, the history of yoga. And a little bit of the history, because, right? So, what you want to do is realize that what it is, it's what it's not. Yoga is not a religion. Okay? It is not a religion. In 2005, when I began to teach here, and I was teaching, I was an anomaly because I was teaching what I'm teaching you guys. Now there's more of us teaching this stuff, teaching the real truth of yoga, not just the physical. I actually had a couple of pastors around here pissed off at me, and I had people come to me and say, my pastor says I cannot take your class because you teach the devil stuff.
I've heard that. That meditating is like you're opening yourself up for negative spirits and stuff like that to enter you because you're getting absence of Christ.
Okay, well, I've been meditating for a long time. I've been a bad girl and not meditating every day like I should, but, and don't shit all over yourself but be me. So no, it's not, you're not gonna walk through the door one day and find me burning here. Right? Because truly that's what people, and so what happens? Let's take that a little bit. Why do you think that is?
People are afraid of something different.
Afraid, 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 afraid. Fear. Fear and faith. What's the definition of fear? Anybody know? Come on, guys. You guys are all afraid to say anything because you're afraid that it's going to be wrong. There are no rights or wrongs. Say something. Speak out. What is fear?
Having no control.
Okay, having no control. Anybody else?
Be scared of. Don't believe in yourself.
Say that again.
Don't believe in yourself.
Not believing in yourself? Okay, okay.
Moving on. To
To
be scared of.
be scared of?
Not understanding.
Moving on.
Not understanding, moving on. Okay, so let me give you the dictionary version. Believing in something which you have not seen yet. Believing in something that you have not seen yet. Now I'm simplifying that. It's a little bit longer, but I'm simplifying that. Believing in something, that's fear, right? Right?
Yes.
I believe that my boyfriend's gonna break up with me, so I'm not gonna, as soon as I turn the corner, he's gonna break up with me, so I'm not gonna turn the corner. I'm believing in something that hasn't yet happened. What is faith? What is faith? Believing in something that hasn't yet happened. The difference is the power of the energy we put behind fear is stronger than the power of the energy we put behind faith. And that's what yoga will tell you. The more you realize that you have the power to be faithful instead of fearful, the more power you have. But we can't have that power until we know we don't have the power. And you can't know that you don't have the power until you become aggressively present. Aggressively present. Girls. Now, I'm not trying to pick on girls, but girls. Anybody here besides me PMS big time? Right? Now, let me tell you this. We know we PMS big time. We know when it is we're gonna spew those knives through the mouth, man. We feel it. It crawls up the backs of the legs into the lower back, and by the time it gets to the top of my back, then over my head, ah! Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Now, boys, you guys have been the recipients of that. But girls, do we or do we not feel it? Do you feel it? Yes? And we know we're doing it, but we can't really control it, yes? That's being aggressively present. And so the yoga journey shows you that be aggressively present, come to the mind and realize that you can choose differently. Aggressively aware that you have full control of the next choice you are going to make. Make sense? So that's basically, truly, at the bottom of everything, it is that. Aggressively aware. Am I in fear? Am I in faith? Am I feeling? Because know this, and yoga tells us this, we are emoting 100% of the time. By the time it gets to your head, the thought, and there are studies on this in quantum physics, the thought and the feeling go together and they shoot out of you, and they've actually had cameras showing this infrared, and it shoots out of you, and if you can imagine, it's like a fishing pole, and you send the line out, and you're going to pull back exactly what you're feeling, exactly what you're emoting. Okay? We're going to talk about all of this because it shows itself in the steps. So the other thing that I want you to do, and then the other thing that I want to say, and then we'll get up and we'll do some asana, is this. And this happens, and I share a lot about my family. My family knows I share a lot about my family. They're my perfect example. Right? God gave me a perfect example family. Right? So the other day my daughter is, and they know this. They've grown up with this. They know they tag me. It's like, oh my God, my humanness is shown. But just to give you an example, when we need to be aware. So many people, when I look at my daughter, so many people just like her think that if I think positive right now, then when I go outside, all positive is gonna come to me, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So if I had to do it with my experience and with being an energy healer, you must be in a full positive thought and feeling place for approximately 3 days before you begin to attract, before that force comes at you without a break. And that, my friends, is tricky. It's work. It's work. The laws of success are not easy. It's work. They're simple, but they're not easy. Does that make sense? And that's precisely, going all the way back to the history of yoga, that's precisely why they gave it to the boys, because they knew that they were simple, but they were not easy. So back in the day, who could do it best? Boys. Does that make sense? Right? So just over this next weekend, I just want you to begin to listen to your thoughts. Okay, I used to give this homework. This is an optional homework for you guys. This is only if you want to begin to grow. Okay? But for a couple of days, write down 10 thoughts that you are aware of. 10 thoughts that you become aware of. And it's powerful, guys. These homeworks I'm giving you are powerful, okay? Because then you get to see what kind of a thinker you are, because you can't change something you don't know anything about. When I first did this, when my guru asked me to do this, I had to do it for 12 days. And then at the end of the 12 days, I thought, what a bitch, man. I was like, are you serious? If people could hear my thoughts, I'd only have enemies. I mean, I was doing things like, raise your hand if you've been there with me. I was doing things like, oh no, honey, your mama didn't let you out of the house looking like that. It was in my head. I was like, oh honey, here's flowers aboard that shirt, ain't gonna hurt nothing, right? And I was like, I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? And my mother was yelling at me, and I'd say, bitch. In my head. I'm going like, oh my God. Right? My father, I never forget this. My father's yelling at me, and I'm wishing he was dead. How many of you guys have been there? Huh?
Not with my
No. Well, my dad was really a strict guy. And so in my mind, I thought if he were dead, then I wouldn't have to worry about the strictness. You see what I'm saying? We rationalize things. So we've got to get to that point where we know what we're thinking. Because if you don't know what kind of a thinker you are, how can you fix it? Okay? You've got to, a mind, write this one down. A mind left to its own devices, and this is my quote, so if you're going to put it on social media, make sure you put my name on there. A mind left to its own devices will ruin you. Make sense? That's going to be your hardest task for the rest of your life. You know, I still do it. You know, I yell at my daughters, and it's like, humanness is showing. Did I mean to say what I said? No, but I wasn't in control. I wasn't aggressively aware and it just spewed out. So the best thing that you can do is to learn how to be humble and apologize. Okay? Yoga 101. Know when you've done it and then do something about it. Okay? Alright, so if you get a chance, really watch that movie, Eat, Pray, Love. It's fun. Okay? Let's get up and any questions, any comments? Great. Let's go ahead and let's get up. Let's do some asana. Yes, ma'am.
Did we do the attendance piece?
Oh, yeah.